So we're continuing on with question number 5 from October-November 2015, paper 4 variant 2. We're going to do part 2 now. It says solve by factorizing the equation 5x squared plus 17x minus 12 equals 0. Now part 1 had told us to show that this is the case, 5x squared plus 17x minus 12 equals 0. Okay, now if you didn't know how to do part 1, you're not going to throw away 3 marks for part 2. It just says solve by factorizing this equation. All you need to do is just solve this equation. It's got no relation to part A or part 1 whatsoever. You know how to answer this question. You don't need any information from part A whatsoever. It could be just like a question on its own. Solve this equation by factorizing. Now let's say by factorizing. Alright? So many of you have your cheat kind of like equation solvers on your calculators, which actually they're okay for checking purposes, but you should know how to factorize. Okay, many people, they use the formula when it says solve this equation. They always use the formula because they're not confident with factorizing. So this question has specially been worded to sort out those people who are afraid of factorizing. Okay, so now we need to factorize this and then solve the equation. Okay, to factorize this, there's 2 different methods. One is called commando style, where you just basically guess and check. So for example, you know that there's going to be an x and a 5x. Okay, you know the signs are going to be different, so you're going to try different combinations until you get to the right combination. You know that the number here has to be 12 when you multiply it, so you're going to try 12 and 1 or 3 and 4 and 6 and 2, and you find all the different combinations that will give you this middle term as positive and this is negative. Now that's fine, but when you got numbers where there's lots of different possibilities, I personally prefer to split up the middle term into 2 parts. Okay, the 2 parts must add up, of course, to 17x because they must be the same. Right, the expression here and here must be the same. But the product of these 2 numbers that you find must be the same as the product of these 2 numbers. So we're finding 2 numbers whose product is the same as 5 times minus 12. Okay, 5 times minus 12, which is negative 60. Okay, so 5 times negative 12 is negative 60. So the product has to be negative 60, and the sum has to be positive 17. So you just think of all the ways of getting negative 60. So you're going to have, for example, 60 times 1, no. You're going to have 30 times 2, no. You're going to have 15 times, it's going to have 30 times 3. 30 times 2. You're going to have 20 times 3, sorry. 20 times 3 does give you 17, okay, when you add them together and they have different signs, because the product is negative. One is going to be positive, one is going to be negative. So 20 times 3 gives you 60 as a product, and the difference between these 2 numbers is positive 17. It must be positive 20 and negative 3. 20 minus 3 gives you plus 17, and 20 times minus 3 gives you minus 12. Okay, so you have 5x squared. I can write them either way around, but I'm going to put the 20 closer to the 5, so plus 20x and minus 3x, and minus 12 is equal to 0. So I can see here that these 2 numbers, these 2 expressions are exactly the same. I've just split into 4 terms, and now when you have 4 terms, you can factorize by what's called grouping. So we take the first 2 terms separately. See what's common? Well, you got 5 and you got x, open bracket. And then you got 5x times x gives you 5x squared, and 5x times plus 4 gives you 20x. Then whatever sign comes next, you write it down. So there's a negative sign, you're going to write negative. Then you have the common factor of these 2 terms, which is 3. And then you said negative 3 times something gives me negative 3x. Well, that's x. And negative 3 times something gives me negative 4. Well, that's going to be plus. So it gives me negative 12. That's plus 4. 3 times minus 3, negative 3 times positive 4 gives me negative 12. And that's equal to 0. And now we can finish off by factorizing it properly. We got x plus 4 is common. So I'm going to just shift over to here. I'll shift over to here. Okay, so I'm going this way now. So I've got x plus 4 in one bracket is common. That's the common factor in these 2 terms, x plus 4. So what do I multiply by x plus 4 to give me 5x times x plus 4? Well, I have to multiply by 5x. And then what do I multiply by x plus 4 to give me minus 3 times x plus 4? Well, it has to be minus 3. and that's equal to 0. Now we're going to use what's called the zero product property. When you have two or more factors whose product is 0, one of those factors must be 0. Okay, the only way to get 0 when you multiply different terms together, one of them has to be 0. So either it's x plus 4, which is 0. If x plus 4 is 0, that means x is negative 4. So that's one of our answers. Or we can say 5x minus 3 is 0, in which case x is going to be negative 3, positive 3, sorry, over 5. You have to add 3 to both sides and then divide by 5. So x is 3 over 3/5. So those are the answers to part 2 of this question. Okay, so this is solving by factorizing. And you could always check your answer in the different ways. One way to check your answer is to substitute these values back into the original equation. And when you put negative 4 into this equation, it should give you 0. If you put a positive 3/5 into this equation, it should also give you 0. Okay? Those are ways to check your answers to make sure you got it correct.